So welcome back to Drug School, and today I am not going to give you the fancy little introduction, the music and everything, and today I just wanted to talk pharmacy technician to pharmacy technician. One of the things I see as I go around the internet and travel on the various Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages that are related to pharmacy, people get stuck on the math and they get hung up on the math a lot. And to be honest, as a PTCB writer, the math isn't as large of a portion of the exam as it used to be. So that's some good news for those of you who are a little math phobic and trying to get into the profession. Now, that being said, there are some real-life applications you can use to study pharmacy math without actually having to go through and learn the metric system or do all kinds of allegations or do all kinds of concentration problems. And those will come a little bit later. We'll get into those as we go through a series on mathematics. Today what I want to talk about is measurement. Now, predominantly in pharmacy, we do one of three types of measurements. We do liquid measurements, which would be in milliliters. We do dry measurements, which would be in grams. And then we also have this concept that I try to teach people and nobody ever seems to get it, and it's called the eaches. We'll talk about eaches here in a little bit when we get to a little bit of an activity that I have planned for you. So just kind of as a refresher, if you snap a screenshot of this, if you take this with you somewhere, like a restaurant, and you want to study some of the pharmacy math that we work with, we need to take a few conversions with us to convert from the English system that we use here in the United States to the metric system that we use in pharmacy practice. So let's just kind of refresh ourselves with a few things here, and you're starting to think of, where is he going with this? I promise I have a point. So just as a general refresher, 1 ounce is technically 28.4 grams. Now, a lot of times we round that off to 30. You'll sometimes see a package of hydrocortisone ointment or hydrocortisone cream in your pharmacy, and you'll be seeing something along the lines of, well, this tube contains 1 ounce and it's 30 grams. We do frequently round this to 30. So you might sometimes see 1 ounce expressed as 28.4 grams, and sometimes you might see it expressed as 30 grams. Those are somewhat interchangeable, although I don't hold anybody accountable to either one. Usually on the PTCB exam, you can get away with using 30. 1 teaspoon is equal to 5 milliliters. And 1 tablespoon is equal to 15 milliliters. These are just common measurements, so use these as you will. What I typically will do as a pharmacy technician on a label is, if I'm measuring, say, a promethazine with codeine, and I'm instructing a patient to take 1 teaspoonful, I will say it's 1 measured teaspoonful, but I will quantify that as 5 milliliters, and then I give them an oral syringe to measure that with. That ensures that they do not overdose themselves or underdose them, because if you use the silverware out of your kitchen, for example, it's not going to get you the same effect. Likewise with the tablespoonful, 1 tablespoonful or 15 milliliters. I put both measurements on my pharmacy labels. Confuses the living daylights out of some patients. It's not meant to. 1 cup is the equivalent of 8 ounces or 8 fluid ounces. When I talked about an ounce up here, I was referring to it in terms of dry weight, but if you change this grams to milliliters, it would then be liquid. 1 fluid ounce is technically 30 milliliters. It's actually technically 28.4 milliliters. Again, all of your pharmacy equipment and all of your dispensing equipment is going to round that to 30. So you're not wrong by using 30. 1 pound is 16 ounces. This will come into play in a little bit. And 1 pint is 16 fluid ounces, or 480 milliliters. After a while, I've been a technician now for 14 years. I can do this math in my sleep, which means I probably need a hobby. For your reference, these are the conversions we're going to talk about. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in terms of a compounding exercise. And it's an interesting compounding exercise. So let me get this erased and throw up a math problem for you. And we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back now. And here is not your standard master formulation list. This is my chocolate chip cookie recipe, and I'll throw a picture at the end of this for your reference. So chocolate chip cookies have a few ingredients. Butter, for the purposes of this recipe, is going to be measured in grams because it's going to be solid when we start. If it were going to be melted first, then you would measure it in milliliters after the fact. Bread flour, obviously a powder, measured in grams. Salt, also a powder, going to be measured in grams. Baking soda, again, measured in grams. Vanilla extract is going to be measured in terms of milliliters. And if you want to think about vanilla extract, it is a liquid. It more specifically is, I think by all definitions, it would be considered an elixir. Sugar, again, we consider it a liquid recipe in most baking measurements, but here when we're measuring it metrically, we're going to be measuring it in grams. Brown sugar, again, measured in grams. Eggs. Eggs are where I was talking about the eaches. Now, if you're looking at a compounding formulation of a pharmaceutical, for example, you would be doing this as tablets of something. So let's say you were taking topiramate and making a suspension out of it. You would have to take the topiramate, grind the tablets. You would have a certain number of those tablets you have to use. Those would be eaches. Milk, again a liquid, it's going to be measured in milliliters. Chocolate chips, in this particular instance, they're solid. They haven't melted yet, so we're going to be measuring them in grams. Had this been melted chocolate, we would have measured it in milliliters. Although, there could be an argument made here that chocolate, once it's melted, is technically a semi-solid emulsion. You could make the argument that you could go grams either way. So, in either event, I apologize if you hear some background noise. That's my cat antiquing some more wood. My apologies. So, let's fill in the blanks of this chocolate chip cookie recipe. Now, 1 pound of butter, measured in terms of grams, is 16 ounces. So we're going to call this the straight up 454. It would be just like using an entire pound of triamcinolone cream, for example. That would be measured at 454 grams as well. 4.5 cups of bread flour. And again, remember, 1 cup is equivalent to 8 ounces. You have 4 of those, so we are going to have 32 ounces in terms of the full cups. And then we have another 4 for this half cup. So a total of 36 ounces. This works out, if you multiply by the 28.4, this works out to just around 1,022 grams. So normally we would not put this comma in because we would confuse that with a period, so as a patient safety point, don't put that in. 2 teaspoons of salt. One of the measurements I left off in the previous portion of this video is that I had salt, or I had teaspoons measured in milliliters. Milliliters and grams are the same. So 2 teaspoons times 5 grams, that means this is going to be 10. 2 teaspoons of baking soda, again 10 grams. 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. 3 teaspoons is really technically 1 tablespoon. That's going to be 15 milliliters. Half a cup, 4 ounces. We're going to call that 120 grams. If you use the true measurement, that's going to come out to about 113 and some change. Depending on how sensitive your scale is, you could get away with that. 2.5 cups of brown sugar, so the 2 cups is going to be a total of 16 ounces, plus another half, so that's going to be 20 ounces in total. 20 times 30 is about 600 grams of that. The eggs we're not going to touch because those are eaches, those are finite numbers. 4 teaspoons of milk, 4 times 5 is 20. And then we have the 24 ounces of chocolate chips. You're going to need a couple of different numbers depending on which one you use. If you do the 24 times 30, you're going to come up at 720. And if you use 28.4, you're going to end up at 681.6 in terms of grams. Use your choices to guide you in your answer if you're doing this on the exam. If you're not sure whether to use 30 or the 28.4, read your choices and see where they take you, because your answers, your options may actually guide which one of these that you do. So don't just necessarily take it for granted that you're going to use 30 or you're going to use 28.4. The answer will tell you which way you're going to go with that. Now, with that said, like and subscribe to this video. Next time around, we're going to talk about concentrations. We're going to do a little allegation, the tic-tac-toe math. I'm going to try to do it in probably the least confusing way possible. I hope you join me for that episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to like this video. Tell all your friends about it. And we'll see you next time on Drug School. We'll see you then.